of 5.3, we're going to talk about special product patterns, okay? There are three special product patterns, or three categories, and then there's a positive and a negative under the square of a binomial, and a positive and a negative under the cube of a binomial, okay? Sum and difference is the easiest one, okay? So sum and difference. Usually when you have something that's factored out, it says something like x squared plus 12x plus 6, or what, you know what I'm saying, whatever. It has three parts to it, okay? A sum and difference is only going to have two parts. And the first part is going to be a perfect square, and the second part is going to be a perfect square. So if you're familiar with perfect squares, it's going to be easier for you to recognize, okay? So if you have sum and difference, if I have a plus b times a minus b, that gives me a squared minus b squared. Because what happens is, when I FOIL this out, right, I do a times a, I get a squared. I do a times negative b, I get negative ab. I do b times a, and I get positive ab. And then I do b times negative b, and I get b squared. See how these cancel? Yeah. So we just know that with a sum and difference, when they're the same beginning, same a and same b, and there's a plus and a minus, the middles cancel, so I don't need to do that math. Okay, I should be able to just pick up on the pattern. So if I have x plus 4 and x minus 4, it's the same as saying x squared and then 4 times 4, or 4 times negative 4, which is negative 16. I have to be able to work these back and forward. If I see x squared minus 16, I have to know that that's x plus 4, x minus 4.
So, on the quiz,
yep,
we're going to have to do both. Both working it back.
Yes. And on the quiz, I don't want to see work. You get what I'm saying? I just want to see. I don't want to see that you foiled it. If you foil it, I'll give you partial credit, but that's not the point of this.
You just want the answer.
Yeah, I just want the answer. This is the one time I'm going to tell you, I don't need you to show me work. I know. That's like a miracle, right? Okay. So that's sum and difference.
It's a trick.
It's a trick. He's like,
You want us to
okay.
show work.
And these quizzes, this quiz and this test shouldn't take you a long time if you can recognize this. Because it should be like boom, 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 boom with your answers. Okay? Now, square of a binomial. Okay. This is where I have something squared, like a plus b is squared, or a minus b is squared. Here's the pattern. Okay? If you have a plus b squared, this first number is whatever this first thing is squared. So I take whatever this is and I square it. Okay? This second part is this times this. Both parts multiplied together, and then you multiply them by 2. That's just the rule. Okay? And then the last part is this part squared. So if I have y plus 3, that means I have y squared. I have 3 times 1y, or 3 times y, which is 3y, and then you multiply it by 2 to get 6y, and then you square this. Okay? That's the pattern. The same pattern happens in the square of a binomial when there's subtraction, except for this sign changes. That's the only thing that changes. The middle sign is the only thing that changes. Okay? So if it's minus, my middle sign is minus. If it's plus, my middle sign is plus. So it's once again a squared, and then a times b times 2, and then b squared. So if you have a leading coefficient that's not 1, 3z minus 5, I'm squaring both parts of this. 3 squared and z squared gives me this spot, 9z squared. Then I do 3z times negative 5, which is negative 15z, and then you multiply that by 2 to get negative 30z. And then the outside is just negative 5 squared, which is 25. Okay? These two, personally, I think are the easiest. This one gets tricky. These two you should be able to do fairly easy. Memorize those patterns. They will save you so much time because I don't have to sit here and then in the past I do this, right? And I draw it out and I go, okay, let's FOIL, okay, A, B, okay, B, A,
So
and
if
then
we still, but if we do that, but still get the same answer.
I will give you partial credit. That's why I'm forcing you to memorize this. Because here's why. Later on in Algebra 2, if you don't have that memorized, you're not going to get problems completed because you're going to spend too much time doing stuff. And if you don't have this memorized, it's hard for me to recognize some stuff when I have to pull things out. Okay? I need this memorized so that later on it makes life easier. Okay? The last one is a cube of a binomial. So, a plus b cubed. Okay? Now this is the pattern for this one. You start with whatever this first thing is, and you cube it. Okay? The second spot
It's squared.
is squared. Here's why. This is a squared, and I'm multiplying it by b. What power is b actually to? Yeah, the first. So what happens is my powers, these ones that I start with, count down 3, 2, 1, none. And these ones count up 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so my powers count down for the leading coefficient and up for the other coefficient.
So A will always count down and B will always count up.
Yes. Okay, and then also listen, the middle spots are always multiplied by 3. Here's how you remember that. It's a cube, so you use 3. When it's a square, you use 2 in the middle. Okay? So on a cube of a binomial, the two middle spots get multiplied by 3. On a square, the middle spots get multiplied by 2. When you have a plus b cubed, okay? When you have a plus b cubed, it's a cubed plus a squared times b times 3 plus a times b squared times 3 and then plus b cubed. So if I have x plus 2 cubed, my first spot is x cubed. Yes. My second spot is x times 2, or I'm sorry, x squared times 2 times 3. So x squared times 2 is 2x squared times 3 is 6x squared.
Now with
The next spot is this x times 2 squared, which is 4. So 4x times 3 gives me 12x. And then the last spot is 2 cubed, which is 8.
with the 6x
Wow.
squared.
Yeah.
So lost.
Like, how'd you get that? Did you?
You do x squared, because you
Oh,
square
you
this.
okay, you square. Okay.
You multiply by that, and then you multiply by 3.
I was confused because I thought you would cube it.
Okay? On the difference, here's the only thing with the difference pattern. Instead of being plus, 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 it's minus, plus, minus. Okay? Because there's a minus here, I have to switch my signs every time. So the same pattern happens. A cubed, 3a squared b, 3ab squared, b cubed. So if I come to p minus 3 cubed, I get p cubed, and then I get p squared times negative 3, which is negative 3p squared times 3, which gives me negative 9p squared. When I get to this spot, I do p times negative 3 squared. Negative 3 squared is 9. So I have 9p times 3, which is 27p. And then when I get to the last, I do negative 3 cubed, and negative 3 cubed is negative 27. Okay? So I have 4 written up here. 3 of them are cubes, so that we can practice those the most. I'll put a squared one up here in a minute too, but let's go over these 4. Okay, what is going on here?
This would be
Sum
Sum and difference. So what's the first spot going to be then?
9t squared.
9t squared. All I do is multiply these outsides together. So 9t squared. What's the next spot?
Minus 16.
Minus 16. Answer. Okay? 9t squared minus 16.
And that's what you want on the quiz.
And that's what I want on the quiz. 9t squared minus 16. You can look at it, you can do it. Okay? Now, 8x minus 3 cubed. Okay, I'm going to have 4 spots, right? And if it's, I'm going to leave blank so it's easier for us to see. If it's minus, what's my pattern?
minus.
Yes, minus, plus, minus, like this. And I have 4 spots, yes? What goes in this first spot?
8x squared. Cube.
Cube. But listen, I have to cube both parts. So you have to tell me, what is 8 cubed? I'm going to write it out this way and show you. I'm going to say this spot is 8 cubed, x cubed, okay?
512.
So what is 8 cubed?
512.
512x, okay? X cubed. That's what goes in that first spot, okay? Now in the second spot, remember we have 3 times what?
Times
8 what?
8 squared.
8 squared x squared. And then times what else? Yes, times -3, right? Okay. That's how we get that negative sign. What's 8 squared?
64.
And what's 64 times -3?
-1.
And then what's -192 times 3? Oh, see?
-576.
Negative what?
576.
576. Yes, negative 576x squared, right? Okay. Now, this spot is 3 times what?
Times 8.
Yeah, times 8x, right?
Yes.
And then times what?
Or something squared.
Yeah, -3 squared. What's -3 squared?
9.
What's 9 times 8?
72.
And then what's 72 times 3?
216.
So 216?
Yes.
So 216x. And then what's this last spot? -3. No, not squared.
Oh, cube.
Cubed. So what's -3 cubed? 3 times 3 times 3.
-27.
-27. Boom.
So for those, that's not steps to do.
Yep.
Oh wow. I feel like writing that down helped.
Writing it out like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's easier sometimes when you put this with it and then
I
come
just
back.
don't understand that second part. So the one after
This
yeah,
part?
I just don't understand that.
Well, because Cole, when I break these down into 3 segments, okay, I would factor the first one, right? Like we did yesterday. Remember when we had like 3 sets of parentheses?
Yes.
Okay, so technically you have this going on. Correct? And you would FOIL this, right? And then you take that answer and you FOIL it with this. Well, they're just skipping doing all those steps. And that's why there's a 3 and a 3 here, because there's 3 of these represented.
So they teach us the hard way first, and then they chose easy.
Yes, because the hard way you have to do when it's not all the same thing. But when it's all the same thing, the exact same thing, I can cheat and do it an easier way. Okay? Because there's a pattern to it. Okay, let's talk about this one. And then I'll throw squared in here at the end because that should be easier for you. But I thought we should practice all cubes first. Okay, so we have, what are my signs? Plus, 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 right? Okay, in this first spot, what goes there?
P, Q, Q.
P cubed, and then Q has to also be cubed. So that's going to go down here, right? Because there's no, like, leading coefficient other than 1, so that should make it a little easier. What goes here? 3, right? Times what?
A squared.
Okay, so,
Or, no,
yeah, a squared. What's a squared?
P,
P squared, Q squared, and then what? Times what?
times B, so it's B5.
Okay, so what's 5 times 3?
15.
So you get 15 P squared, Q squared. Okay? What goes here now? 3, right? And then what?
A and B squared.
Okay, so A is P, Q, and then you said B squared?
Yes.
Okay, so 25 times 3 is what?
75.
So you get 75 P, Q. And then what goes here?
B cubed.
5 cubed. What is 5 cubed?
125.
And that is your answer.
I understand it. I
Okay.
understand.
It gets more, I think it's more complicated when this leading coefficient is not 1. Because you have to do more thinking, because you have to do 8 squared and you have to be, okay?
So it's a lot of steps when it's not.
Yes. Now, what's the signs on this one?
Minus.
Minus, plus, minus, okay. Okay, what comes here first?
X, Y, cubed.
X cubed, Y cubed. You gotta put it to both pieces. X cubed, Y cubed. What goes in this next spot? What do I start with?
-3.
Yeah, 3 times what?
X cubed, Y cubed.
Nope,
X
Oh, X
squared.
X squared, Y squared, and then times what? -4. -4 times 3 is what? So I get -12 Y squared, or X squared, Y squared. Okay. Then what comes next here? Again, 3, and then, so X,
times
Y, and then what next?
Squared.
-4 squared. What's -4 squared?
16.
What's 16 times 3?
48.
Okay. So I get 48xy. Okay. Then what comes here?
B
4.
minus 4.
So, yeah, so -4 cubed, right? What's -4 cubed?
64.
Now, I'm going to cheat and I'm just going to use this one and make it a squared too. Let's say we have 8x minus 3 squared. Okay, let's do a squared one. How do I do that? What comes first for 8x minus 3 squared? What's this first spot?
Square the
Okay, so I'm going to square the 8 and square the
8.
x.
Yes.
Okay, and then since it's minus, what sign comes here?
Minus.
Okay, and then what sign goes here?
Plus.
What goes in the middle here?
2.
2,
A.
So it'll be
8,
2.
x, and then what?
-3.
Yes, because it's 2, 1, 1. Okay, and then what comes here? Okay, so this gives me 8. Nope, I lied. What's 8 squared? 64. 64x squared. This gives me, what's 2 times 8?
16.
And 16 times 3?
48.
Yeah, -48x. And then what's -3 squared? Boom. This is what you are working on tonight. Special product patterns.
I got this.